Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening for everybody who is chiming in around the world. Welcome to our Facebook Live with ADRA. Today we're going to be talking about the COVID-19 crisis in India, and we have two very special guests with us today. But before we get started, I want to remind everyone who is tuning in that there are ways that you can support both the work here in India and around the world by making a contribution to ADRA's global COVID-19 Emergency and Recovery Fund. And you can do that a couple of ways. You can do it at adra.org. You can do adra.org/COVID-19 response. You can also give us a call on our 1-800 number, which is 1-800-424-ADRA, and that's 1-800-424-2372, and that goes to our COVID response around the world, especially in India at the moment, but then also other countries who are affected by the COVID-19 crisis. But today we are talking India, and we have two incredibly special guests with us today. So I want to welcome Weston Davis, who is our country director for ADRA in India. And we also have Trisha with us, who is our communications manager also for ADRA in India. So welcome. And I want to say a huge thank you. You guys are under a lot of stress and you're doing a lot of work right now. So we appreciate you taking the time and giving us some of your precious time and energy today. Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about your roles in India?
Hi, I'm Weston Davis, and it's an honor. I think the gratitude goes the other way. We're grateful that you're thinking about us over here, and I am the country director for ADRA India, and we serve India on several different levels. Usually it's humanitarian work and development and disaster relief. But right now it is disaster relief in a unique way, responding to the recent COVID surge and crisis. I'll turn it over to our communications person now, Trisha.
Thank you, Weston, and thank you so much, actually, for that introduction. Hi, I'm Trisha Mahajan. I am the communications manager. I take care of all the media and communications work at ADRA in India, which includes digital media, PR, and media relations. So, yes, that's a brief profile of my work.
There's a lot of work right now. And everybody who's tuning in is tuning in because we are seeing India in the headlines just all the time now. And obviously, ADRA's been talking about it a lot as well. But both of you guys being there on the ground in the country, could you give us a quick introduction to what the situation is and how it might be different from what we're seeing on the news here?
So the cases had subsided a lot in February, and people had thought that COVID in India is almost over. But then this second wave took people by surprise. There was this deadly mutant variant that's going around, and it's spreading very fast. It's people are getting a lot of people are getting infected, and our healthcare system was not ready to cope with such a large caseload, which is why people are dying. Like, preventable deaths are happening because people are not getting oxygen on time, not getting hospital beds on time, or not getting basic medicines on time. So my social media, my WhatsApp groups are filled with people asking for their relatives for hospital leads on hospital beds, leads on oxygen cylinders, which is very sad. People are waiting outside hospitals in their makeshift cars, which they have turned into ambulances. In ambulances, waiting to get admitted, but they're not getting a bed. They're pleading for their relatives, but they're just losing lives outside hospitals. People are going around at night, at daytime, looking for beds in some hospital, but that's not happening. So it's very tragic what is happening. We are all trying to just stay home. Government, the various state governments have imposed lockdowns to try and control the situation, but we don't know where this is coming from. Some people are saying that this is airborne, so we are all very scared at the moment, just staying put at our homes.
Understood. And India being such a huge country, how is the situation different, or is it hit harder in the cities versus the countryside? And is that also affecting the size of the country? Is that affecting how supplies are getting to hospitals?
Well, it definitely is hitting the bigger cities more because of the population. Right. They are more densely populated and they're more cramped. So there's more risk of infection because there's no place for a lot of people, especially in cities like Delhi and Mumbai, which have big slum areas as well. So they don't have place to do any kind of social distancing, which is really impacting the numbers here, and which is putting a lot of pressure on the healthcare system of these cities. But definitely, the other smaller cities and states are also are impacted. But the rural areas, there's a lot of news stories don't come out of them, and people do not report cases. So that is why we do not get to hear much about those cities, and the highlight is the bigger cities.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of discussion about that. Thank you, Trisha, about this. Even us here on the ground, we hear contradicting things, which is normal in this kind of crisis. But many people know someone who has perished, actually, and friends or friends of friends. And so sometimes when you do the math, you say, well, wait a minute, how is that even possible? And there's only 400 a day dying. So we know that the real numbers, there's been some experts say, whatever number you hear, multiply it times 10, and you'll be getting close.
That's
And
horrible.
I would also like to add that even our crematoriums right now are cramped. There's no space. Pet crematoriums are being turned into places to burn the dead, and even parking lots of these crematoriums are being turned into, like, pyres are being burned there, and people and loved ones are not being allowed to attend the last rites, which is very important in our religion. It's and in our country, it's a very important thing to pay your last respects to your relatives, and people are not able to do that, which is very sad. And
It
even
is.
our yeah, and our children are badly impacted, because some of the children are losing both their parents overnight, and they are being institutionalized overnight. And I just learned of a story that in Pune there was a woman who died in her home, and for 2 days the toddler lied next to the dead mother without being fed. And thankfully, and no neighbors came close for the fear of contracting the virus. It was two police women who found and fed the toddler, and thankfully the toddler was fine except for some fever. So yeah, and these children right now at a risk of being trafficked, of going into orphanages, and of going on the streets. So we also have to protect our children at this time.
Yeah. And obviously with the lockdown and all of these high risks, it has to affect the way you guys are doing your work. How are you guys staying safe? How is your team on the ground staying safe there while you're doing such important work?
Well, thank you, Ashley, for trying to turn it towards us. But we appreciate that. You know what? ADRA India has a great team that are experienced in disaster relief. I don't know that we're experienced in being locked down all the time, but usually you can get out in the field. But through technology, through coordinations, meetings, it's an amazing thing to me how much work is being done through coordinations. And although we are locked down, it is possible to get out if you have permissions.
Okay.
Certainly, people are able to move about on survival things and food scarcity issues. But thank you for asking. We do have a good team, and we're able to coordinate with our vendors, our contacts. But you're right. Number one, our team around the country, we are asking them to stay safe. There's lots of things they can do in their personal caution to stay safe, and I think we are doing that.
Great. And I know you've mentioned. Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah.
No,
Some of our colleagues did turn positive, and their families as well. Yeah. So, but thankfully, everybody's on the road to recovery. So
good.
yeah.
That's wonderful. We will definitely keep all of you guys in our prayers. We are praying regularly, and I'm sure everyone watching is as well. And I know you guys have mentioned oxygen, and we have certainly been hearing about the oxygen shortages and even some hospitals running out. How is ADRA helping with that within the country? Are you guys there?
I'm experiencing some technical difficulties
Oh, sorry.
right now. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you. So yeah, I can hear you now. We were asking about
Can
oxygen.
you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
It I
Tricia, are you able to answer
good.
that? Are
Yeah.
you?
That's a great segue and a great question into what ADRA is doing. Insult. Adding. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
We can hear you, yes.
We're good.
Well, this is a shame. We're getting. Okay, if you can hear me, I'll carry on. Adding insult to injury is the lack of oxygen throughout the healthcare facilities, both the rural and certainly in the urban areas. No one expected this to happen, and so they were caught unawares. People have loved ones to the hospital, and naturally one of the first things when someone is under respiratory distress, they are given oxygen. And it was not long early on in the crisis, healthcare facilities, hospitals, clinics, everybody began to run out of oxygen.
Oh, looks like we've lost Weston, unfortunately, but hopefully we'll be able to get him back online. But we'll keep speaking with you for now, Tricia. Do you want to continue what he was talking about with the oxygen? And maybe you can talk a little bit about the other stuff that ADRA is doing in the country as well.
So yes, right now, because of the shortage of oxygen, we thought it would be best to get an oxygen generation plant. So that's what we are doing. We are working with the Adventist hospital in Surat, Gujarat, to set up a plant. We have ordered one, so that should hopefully come sometime this week, and we are going to set that up. Yes, and other than that, we're yes. Please go ahead. Yeah.
That's right. And with the oxygen plant, that provides oxygen for an entire hospital. Is that right? Where it helps them generate their own oxygen instead of getting canisters and things, or having to have tanks come in. Is that right?
Yes, I will have to let Weston answer that question.
Perfect.
He has. So.
Understood. Maybe you could tell us. You can keep talking about some of the other stuff ADRA's doing if you like, until we get Weston back on.
Yeah. So we are also planning to distribute PPE kits to some of the healthcare workers, our frontline workers, so that it helps them, protects them during these times when they are serving the people. And also we are planning to work with the government in vaccination centers to raise awareness about vaccinations, to reduce hesitancy. So these are some of the things we planned for right now, and scale these up in the coming months.
That's great.
I'm sorry, I was.
Welcome back.
Thank you. It was short, but and I didn't hear everything Trisha said, but I'm sure it was quite informed. One thing, I was talking to a healthcare professional in the U.S. a couple days ago, and we were talking about this oxygen shortage, and he said, man, and he works in a hospital, he says, man, all we do is go over to the wall and plug it in, and we never ever think about a shortage. And he says, we push oxygen to everybody. And he says, so I can't imagine what it would be like to have to be making those decisions, who gets oxygen or to not even have it. I think it was yesterday or the day before, a doctor in one of the ICU units in one of the local hospitals here in Delhi calculated the remaining time left on oxygen for the ICU unit, and it was a half hour. And he knew as soon as the oxygen ran out that people would begin to die. He actually got on Twitter and put out an SOS, and 5 minutes before the oxygen was to go out, a truck arrived with the cylinders. So I have another instance where a friend of mine, excuse me, a friend of mine was desperately driving around the city looking for an oxygen cylinder for his friends, and because 2 of them were gravely ill with COVID. He found one and delivered it, but the family had to make a decision which person received the oxygen. And they made the decision, and the other person passed away. So think of that crisis when someone has a discussion, who shall we give this to?
Wow, that is.
Yeah. And just to add to that, just today I heard of in a city 24 people died in a hospital because of shortage of oxygen.
Wow. Man, well, I'm very glad that ADRA is able to help in that aspect and helping with other supplies and other resources to support the hospitals and clinics there. And it sounds like you guys will be working with some of the Adventist hospitals in the country. Can you tell us a little bit about where those are and kind of some of the work they're doing? Are they focusing on COVID-19 cases mostly now?
Ashley, thanks for bringing that up. That's a key point. The amount of aid that comes in is fabulous, and the support we're receiving from ADRA International and the people who believe in ADRA is humbling, and we're eternally grateful for that. But it's only as good as our ability to distribute it. Right. And so no one wants to see the aid stuck in bottlenecks, various bottlenecks that could happen either in delivery or in warehouses. And so we have the tremendous opportunity to coordinate with an entire hospital system throughout India that already exists. And not all the Adventist hospitals are in a position to respond to COVID. Some of them are small and not able to, but many of them are. And so by us coordinating with those teams, we can identify the best place for some of our relief to go to, and already have a built-in network of places to send it. And we know that as soon as it arrives at some of these hospitals, it will be immediately utilized. So yes, the small mission hospitals to the larger tertiary hospitals are all benefiting from this. And as Trisha has already told us, the hospital that will be installing our oxygen generator is a 300-bed facility located in Gujarat. And so it is a well-respected facility that will immediately benefit from this. They will not be relying on delivery of oxygen cylinders nearly at the level they would have been.
That's wonderful. And I want to take a minute just to remind everybody who is watching that you can donate to ADRA's Global Emergency and Recovery Fund, which is helping India right now, as well as other countries around the world that are affected by the COVID crisis. You can go online to adra.org/COVID-19 response, or you can call the 800 number, which is 1-800-424-ADRA, and ADRA is 2372. So we would love for you guys to support that if you have a chance. And I want to say hi to all these people who are commenting. They're from all over the world. I've seen Yemen pop up and Bangladesh. Obviously, a lot of people from India and across the US. I think we've seen Mozambique and several other coming up. So there's obviously a lot of interest, not just in our little ADRA family, but around the world as well. And it's been an overwhelming amount of outreach that we've gotten here, and I hope you guys are feeling it there the same. We have people calling just to offer their support, wanting to say prayers for you guys, and obviously offer donations as well, which is fantastic and hugely needed in a lot of ways. Is there anything that you guys would want to say to people who have made donations or who are praying for you, or anything else?
Well, my response to that is the number one thing is your compassion, your empathy, which of course results in prayer. And that is more powerful than anything. And if that is all anyone did, that would be a powerful thing. And then we are eternally grateful for the donations, small or large. It all works together. And the fact that social media is lighting up, as they say, for this, really speaks to the compassion people have in their hearts, and we're grateful for that.
Yeah. And I have a couple more things. I saw someone asked what the oxygen generator plant is, and I think that may have been what you were explaining when we lost you for a couple of minutes, Weston. So do you mind kind of explaining what that plant is just one more time, just for those who may have missed that?
An oxygen generator is a machine, fairly high tech and not cheap, but it's a machine that is able to extract oxygen out of the air and make it medical grade. I'm not an oxygen generator expert, but they come in various sizes, and the one that we are purchasing will be able to handle much of a large hospital, but it's about the size of maybe 2 or 3 large refrigerators, with a lot of pipes and tubes and technology and circuit boards to control it. And again, it will deliver pure medical grade oxygen produced on site.
Gotcha.
So,
and it's coming from, you've kind of bought it from overseas, right? And we're having to ship it into India. And will it be arriving soon? Okay, perfect.
Well, that's the plan.
Okay.
We are expecting delivery. It's being airlifted out of Milan, Italy. And it was, to me, an amazing story. Right when we began searching for one, there turned out to be one available, and the people involved said they were going to waive their normal markup fees, and so we're told that it's being put on a plane and will be delivered later on this week. So, we're all aware that anything can happen, but we're humbled by that.
We'll keep that in our prayers too then. And Trisha, I know you shared a video with us recently that we'll be sharing of you got your vaccine this week, and are you feeling more hopeful? How does that make you feel in the middle of a crisis like this in your own country? Are you feeling better?
I am definitely feeling more relieved right now. I just got my first shot right now. I still have to get my second one, maybe 28 days after the first one. But definitely psychologically, it makes me feel much better. What is scaring me is that a lot of people, because the vaccinations were just opened in May, so a lot of people are rushing to get those vaccines. And where I went, it was very crowded, and there was all the social distancing went for a toss, which is scaring me. So I'm just observing myself for the next week to see if I develop any symptoms, God forbid. So so otherwise I am definitely relieved with the first shot.
Yeah, hopefully that is a step in the right direction for you guys there. That's really great news. Is there anything else you wanted to share with us today, or if any other stories you wanted that might I guess bring this crisis home for a lot of us? If there's anything else you'd like to share, we would love to hear it.
I just want to.
It's all right.
Go ahead, Trisha.
I just want to come back to your previous question about thanking the people, and I'm just reading all the comments, and it just warms my heart how close this pandemic has brought us all. And we've seen this in the past year, how people are coming together or from all over the world to help each other, and that is the need of the hour. And definitely India needs all the support it can get, and we are very, very thankful to everybody who's praying for us, who's supporting us. Even $1 means a lot. Like everybody's contribution, it's going to mean a lot. So so just wanted to add that.
That's wonderful. Good.
And I would add, I tend to be the eternal optimist. India will come out of this with a lot of lessons learned, a lot of tragedies, no doubt. that have impacted and permanently impacted many families. But there are many, many people who are currently suffering from COVID, but are recovering and surviving it. And they're not going to the hospital, and they're communicating with their doctors and their families, and they're treating themselves in their homes. And so they're a wonderful, resilient population, resilient people. And so it's inspiring to see them deal with this however they can. And I'm sure the stories of the many NGOs, I want to recognize the many NGOs and relief, private and public and government, that is going on. It's a full court press at this point. And so we are all pulling together on it. And we hope now to see the peak. Obviously, no one knows for sure, but they're talking about maybe the peak sometime in middle to late May. And the newspapers are sometimes actually having a glimmer of hope that some oxygen supplies are increasing. So this is a good thing. But I will remind people that if you hear stories from any parts of India that the press hasn't gotten to, that's another whole story, isn't it? Where they're not getting the focus and attention, and my heart goes to them as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much. I want to kind of say one more time to everybody watching that the donations that you guys have already made, the prayers that you guys have shared with us, are making a lot of things already happen in India with our team here. We've talked about the oxygen generation plant. It's also going to support, the PPE that's being made available for healthcare workers. It's helping with various clinics around the country, making sure that vaccines are readily available and that people are comfortable taking them. There's a lot of work that's being supported. Thanks to everybody who's tuning in today, both with your prayers, with your donations, and every kind of support that's being shown or shared. So you can donate online. Again, this goes to the Global Response Fund, or the Global Emergency and Recovery Fund, and it's at adra.org/COVID-19 response, or you can give a call at 1-800-424-ADRA, which is 1-800-424-2372. I want to thank Trisha and Weston, both of you, again and again, for your time today. I know you have a lot on your plates, and it really, really helps to make a giant headline something really personal when we're able to talk to people like you guys who are right there on the ground seeing it happen. Our prayers are with you. Actually, do you mind if I pray with you maybe to close out this session today? I'd love to just say a quick prayer for you guys, if that's all right. We'll do that
Please
really
do.
quickly. Yeah, I appreciate it. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us here today. Thank you for bringing Weston and Trisha here and keeping them safe. Please be with our ADRA team in India, across the country. Please be with their brothers and sisters within the country who are being affected by this crisis. Please keep the healthcare workers safe. Give them the energy and everything that they need to keep this fight going against this horrible COVID-19 crisis. Be with everyone who's tuning in. Be with the people who are sharing their dollars and their prayers and everything they can to help everybody around the world to survive this crisis. As we talked about today, we're all in this together, and every day we see that more and more. Please bless every hand that is affected by this crisis and is involved with helping the crisis come to an end. In your name, amen. And again, thank you everybody for tuning in.
Thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you guys. And we'll talk to you again soon. We'll make sure this is available. Obviously, this is a live thing, but it also saves a recording. So we'll make it available on our page and everywhere else. So if anyone who is watching wants to share it with your friends and family, we'd really, really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so
All right.
much. Thank
See you. Bye.
Thank you.
All right.